struggling mother couldn't even buy bread for her two daughters, until a wealthy stranger recognized her dignity and changed everything. This isn't the place for people like you. Go ask for help somewhere else. The bakery manager's harsh words echoed through Sunrise Bakery, and the entire store went silent. 32-year-old Kesha Williams gripped her daughter's hands and drew in a steady breath. What the arrogant man didn't realize was that her phone, tucked half hidden inside her purse, was recording every single word. Kesha was no stranger to humiliation. Once a nurse, she'd lost her job during hospital cutbacks. She had seen cruelty before, but this time she wasn't about to walk away with her head down. "Mr. Mitchell," she said calmly, "I only asked if I could pay tomorrow. My bank card is temporarily blocked." Her little girls, Emma and Sophie, stared up at the man in confusion, not understanding why he was speaking so harshly to their mother. Mitchell laughed loudly, making sure everyone could hear. "It's always temporary with people like you. Just look at your clothes. Do you think I was born yesterday?" Kesha noticed customers discreetly filming. Perfect. The more witnesses, the better. "It's just 2 loaves of bread," she insisted, keeping her composure. "I work nearby. I can bring the money in the morning." "Work? Where? A gas station?" Mitchell sneered, his voice dripping with mockery. "Listen carefully, princess. This is a respectable bakery, not a charity. If you don't have money, there's a shelter on 15th Street. But Mitchell hadn't noticed the sharply dressed man in the corner, silently watching with clenched fists and eyes filled with cold anger. Kesha crouched to her daughter's level. "Let's go, girls. We'll find a place where kindness still exists." Then, looking Mitchell directly in the eye, she added quietly, "Have a wonderful day, sir. I hope it turns out exactly as you deserve." Mitchell smirked, blind to the subtle threat in her words. He had no idea he'd just signed his own downfall. As Kesha and her girls walked out, the elegant man finished his coffee and followed them outside. Something about her calm strength, the way she shielded her daughters, stirred painful memories in him, and an urgent need for justice. And if this story already has you hooked, make sure you're subscribed, because what happened next was a twist so satisfying that people still talk about the day a simple request for bread turned into the spectacular downfall of a man who thought he was untouchable. Just 3 hours later, Kesha discovered the humiliation wasn't over. Mitchell had posted a clip on the bakery's social media, footage from a security camera with the caption, "When you have to protect your business from freeloaders. #real business, no excuses." The video already had hundreds of views, with comments praising him as a tough businessman, while others simply laughed. Kesha stared at the screen while her daughters played in the cramped apartment she shared with her elderly mother. "Mommy, why was that man so mean to us?" Emma asked softly. Kesha kissed her forehead. "Some people forget how to be kind. But don't worry, sweetheart. Mommy will take care of it." What Mitchell didn't know was that Kesha wasn't helpless. 12 years in the emergency room had given her a unique skill, the ability to read people instantly. Micro-expressions, body language, tiny shifts in tone. She could spot liars, manipulators, and predators in seconds. That was how she knew the man in the bakery wasn't just another customer. He had recognized the injustice too, because he'd lived it. His clenched jaw, his trembling hands, his eyes that never left Mitchell, all of it told her he was someone who had once been humiliated the same way. Later that night, as Kesha sat at the table staring at her nearly empty bank account, her phone rang. The caller ID was unfamiliar. "Kesha Williams?" a voice said. "This is David Chun from Chen and Associates. I witnessed what happened today at Sunrise Bakery," the voice on the phone said, calm yet firm, "and I'd like to speak with you." "My name is David Chun." Kesha froze. That name was well known. David Chun, one of the most respected civil rights attorneys in the city, a man famous for taking down powerful businesses in court. But how did he know her name? "Mr. Chun?" I can't afford a lawyer, she admitted softly. Who said anything about payment? He replied. This isn't about contracts. It's about justice. And as it happens, a friend of mine who witnessed everything is very interested in supporting your case. Can we meet tomorrow? Meanwhile, Mitchell was at home celebrating. He sat proudly beside his wife, scrolling through his phone. Look at these numbers, honey. People love my firmness. This post is going viral. More likes, more comments, more respect for the bakery. Donna Mitchell smirked approvingly. You were perfect. If everyone did what you did, these people would stop playing the victim. You're teaching them a lesson. But what the Mitchells didn't know was that every like, every share, every comment was being quietly saved by Kesha. Screenshot after screenshot, she was building a meticulous file. Her years of documenting medical records as a nurse were now fueling an entirely new kind of mission, building an irrefutable case against the man who had humiliated her. The next morning, Kesha walked into a sleek downtown cafe. There he was, David Chun, early 40s, polished, sharp, with the aura of someone who had never lost a case. Your situation is a textbook example of profiling, David said, flipping through her evidence. And with this social media exposure? Mitchell essentially confessed to the world. He discriminated against you based purely on appearance and status. But my card really was blocked, Kesha admitted quietly. That's irrelevant, David explained. The law protects your dignity regardless of your finances. You weren't asking for charity. You were proposing a simple transaction. His refusal wasn't about money. It was prejudice, plain and simple. At that moment, a tall, commanding figure approached their table, a man whose presence made the entire cafe seem to shift. Kesha recognized him instantly, the silent observer from the bakery. Kesha, this is Marcus Thompson, David introduced, CEO of Thompson Industries, and someone who knows exactly what you've been through. Marcus extended his hand, his smile warm but his eyes burning with quiet intensity. Yesterday, when I watched that scene, I saw my own mother, Marcus said. I was 8 years old when she was treated the same way in a store. The difference is, today, I have the resources to make sure it doesn't go unanswered. Kesha shook his hand, and for the first time since the bakery incident, she felt she wasn't alone. Mitchell made 2 fatal mistakes, Marcus continued, his tone razor-sharp. First, he underestimated you. Second, he publicly documented his own behavior. Now, we'll use that against him, in a way he'll never forget. Every cruel laugh, every cutting word, every mocking comment on social media. Piece by piece, it was all becoming ammunition. That Monday morning, Kesha woke up with a new feeling. Not just anger, but a calm, strategic determination. With her daughters at school and her mother at home, she sat at her small kitchen table and opened her laptop. A discreet message from Marcus appeared on her screen. Mitchell has a pattern. Check Sunrise Bakery's posts over the last 2 years. Look for other victims. For the next 3 hours, Kesha dug into every archive story, every comment, every forgotten complaint. What she uncovered made her furious and hopeful. Mitchell wasn't just cruel on a whim, he had a pattern. Last September, a Latina woman posted about being shadowed by employees. Mitchell replied coldly, "Our staff is trained to watch suspicious behavior." She never replied again. In March, a black teenager wrote that he was stopped for carrying a backpack, while white teens with the same bags walked in freely. His post later disappeared, deleted after Mitchell threatened defamation against a reputable business. In June, an elderly woman shared that a staff member had hidden the freshest bread when she approached the counter. Each story was another piece of proof. Mitchell wasn't just arrogant, he was systematic. And Kesha was no longer his victim, she was becoming his reckoning. Mitchell personally replied to one complaint online, telling the customer she might want to consider shopping at places more suited to her budget. Every comment, every dismissal, every victim silenced. Kesha carefully logged it all into a color-coded spreadsheet. Her years of nursing had taught her discipline, precision, and documentation. Skills now fueling something much bigger than patient charts. On Tuesday, David called with news that was both promising and troubling. Kesha, I've managed to contact 17 people who've had similar experiences at Sunrise Bakery over the past 3 years. 15 of them are either minorities or appear to be from lower income backgrounds. But, he paused. But what? Kesha asked, though she already knew the answer. They're afraid to speak out. Mitchell has a history of suing anyone who challenges him. He's lost every time, but the victims spent fortunes on lawyers and endured months of stress. It's intimidation, and it works. For the first time, Kesha felt the weight of her uphill battle. Without witnesses, her fight risked becoming her word against his. Mitchell had built a near-perfect system of silent oppression. But Wednesday brought the first major breakthrough. Marcus had quietly tapped into his network of business contacts, and what he discovered changed everything. Kesha, Marcus said over the phone, Sunrise Bakery isn't fully Mitchell's. He only owns a minority stake. The majority partner is Heritage Foods Holdings, controlled by Robert Sterling. The name meant something. Robert Sterling was a wealthy philanthropist, a man whose wife chaired a foundation dedicated to combating discrimination. His reputation relied heavily on funding diversity programs across the country. The irony, Marcus continued, his voice edged with satisfaction, is that Sterling is unknowingly financing the exact behavior his family campaigns against. He doesn't know what Mitchell has been doing, but once he finds out, for the first time in weeks, Kesha smiled. This wasn't just about exposing Mitchell anymore. It was about using his own corporate ties against him. Then Thursday brought an unexpected ally. Jessica, a young cashier from the bakery, called nervously, whispering into the phone. Miss Williams, I need to talk to you, away from the store. They met at a small cafe across town. Jessica, only 22, looked terrified but determined. I recorded everything, she admitted, pulling out her phone. Mitchell doesn't know. I was filming content for the bakery's TikTok when you came in. I caught the entire exchange. Kesha's heart raced. Why give this to me? Jessica lowered her eyes. Because my sister is black, adopted. And I've watched Mitchell treat people like her the same way he treated you. I always told myself I'd say something, but I never had the courage. Until now, the recording was damning. Crystal clear audio, every laugh, every word, every sneer, paired with video that showed Kesha remaining calm and respectful throughout. It destroyed any claim that she had been aggressive or confrontational. Jessica, do you realize this could cost you your job? Kesha asked gently. I know, Jessica admitted, but I already have another interview lined up. And honestly, she gave a small, shy smile. Some things are worth more than a paycheck. When David heard the recording, his usually calm voice nearly exploded with energy. Kesha, this is gold. It proves everything. Not only discrimination, but a pattern of behavior. With this, Mitchell doesn't stand a chance. Marcus was just as thrilled, but for different reasons. Now we can go straight to Sterling. No serious investor will want their name tied to this. Mitchell won't just lose his job, he could lose his entire career. On Friday, as Kesha sat with David finalizing their legal preparations, her phone buzzed with a notification. Another post from Mitchell, this time a smug Instagram story. The text read, Some troublemakers are trying to smear honest businesses with false accusations, but the truth always wins. Good people know how to spot real victims from attention seekers. Kesha laughed out loud. Mitchell was so arrogant, so certain of his impunity, that he was practically confessing in real time. Every post, every word, every attempt to paint her as the villain only built her case stronger. By Monday, David had arranged a private meeting with Robert Sterling himself, and Marcus was working his network to make sure the other investors were aware of the storm heading straight for Sunrise Bakery. That night, after tucking her daughters into bed, Kesha felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Not fragile hope born from wishful thinking, but the kind that comes from a real plan, from powerful allies, and from the certainty that justice was finally moving in her favor. Emma studied her mother's face, her big eyes curious. "Mommy, you look different. Happier." Kesha kissed her forehead. "I'm working on solving a problem, sweetheart. And I think I finally found the right solution." What Mitchell didn't realize as he slept soundly in his comfortable suburban home was that Monday morning would not be business as usual. It would be the day his arrogance caught up with him, the day he discovered that underestimating a determined woman with powerful allies had been the single biggest mistake of his life. Monday, 9 a.m. Robert Sterling, majority investor of Heritage Foods Holdings, sat in his 42nd floor office overlooking the skyline. His schedule was packed with meetings, but the one waiting for him would become the most consequential of his career. "Mr. Sterling," David Chun began, sliding a folder across the table, "we need to discuss a serious matter involving Sunrise Bakery." Sterling frowned. "Mitchell? He's kept profits steady and operations clean. What kind of problem?" Marcus calmly handed him a tablet. "You might want to watch this first." For 5 long minutes, Sterling sat in stunned silence as he watched Mitchell berating Kesha, followed by screenshots of his mocking social media posts and a list of 17 other victims. His face shifted from confusion to disbelief to an icy anger that chilled the room. "My wife runs an anti-discrimination foundation," Sterling muttered, rubbing his forehead. "I just signed a $200,000 check for inclusion programs, and I've been funding this?" Meanwhile, at Sunrise Bakery, Mitchell was straightening loaves of bread, humming proudly. He still believed his social media victory post had cemented his reputation as a strong businessman. His phone buzzed, a message from Jessica. "I won't be coming in today, personal reasons." He scoffed. Typical. Kids these days don't want to work. At 10:15, the front door opened. Mitchell froze when he saw Robert Sterling himself walk in, flanked by 2 men in suits. The majority partner had never once set foot in the bakery. "Mr. Sterling!" "What an honor," Mitchell said nervously. "Can I offer you our specialty coffee?" "Office." Now Sterling's voice was so sharp that Mitchell's stomach sank. In the cramped back office, Sterling pressed play on the tablet. Mitchell watched his own sneering face fill the screen. His complexion turned pale, then beet red. I can explain," he stammered. "That woman was trying to take advantage of us. I was protecting the company." At that, David Chun finally spoke. His calm voice carried more weight than a shout. "Mr. Mitchell, I'm a civil rights attorney. This recording, combined with your own social media posts, is undeniable evidence of illegal discrimination." Mitchell's knees nearly buckled. "Recording? Posts? I never—" Marcus cut him off, sliding a file across the desk. Screenshots, dates, times, every mocking emoji, every arrogant caption, all preserved. "And," David added, "we have sworn statements from 17 others who experienced similar treatment here. This isn't an isolated case, Mr. Mitchell. It's a pattern." Sterling rose to his feet, his expression like stone. "Mitchell, you've not only broken the law, you've dragged my company's reputation through the mud. You're finished here, effective immediately." "Please, Mr. Sterling, I've worked here for 8 years. This is a misunderstanding. That woman, she was lying. People like her always—" "Stop." Sterling's voice cracked through the air like thunder. "Every word out of your mouth only proves the case against you." David placed a document on the desk. "In addition to your dismissal, Ms. Williams will be filing a lawsuit for discrimination, emotional harm, and defamation. Damages sought, $300,000. Mitchell's jaw dropped. His empire of arrogance had crumbled in a single morning. Mitchell felt the room tilt. $300,000, more than he would ever earn in a decade. I don't have that kind of money. This will ruin me," he whispered, panic seeping through his voice. Marcus leaned forward, his expression sharp. You should have thought of that before turning prejudice into public entertainment. Sterling's voice followed, cold and decisive. And just so you understand the full weight of this, I'll be forwarding this material to every major restaurant and bakery chain in the city. After today, no reputable company will ever put your name on their payroll again. As Mitchell tried to process the avalanche crashing down on him, his phone buzzed nonstop. Notifications lit up his screen like fireworks. Jessica had made the entire story public. Her TikTok post, complete with the full recording and Mitchell's arrogant social media screenshots, had exploded online. Within hours, it had 500,000 views and was spreading across platforms like wildfire under the hashtag Justice for Kesha. The comments hit harder than any lawsuit. Humiliating a mother in front of her kids? Unforgivable. Disgusting behavior. I hope he loses everything. This is what happens when arrogance meets accountability. Mitchell's hands trembled as he read. He felt sick. His downfall wasn't happening quietly in a boardroom. It was unfolding live, in front of millions. You planned this, he muttered bitterly, glaring at the men across the table. It was all a trap. David's calm smile cut him deeper than any insult. Mr. Mitchell, you built this trap yourself. Every cruel word, every mocking post, you chose them. We simply ensured they had consequences. Sterling ended a phone call and delivered the final blow. I've spoken with my legal team. All contracts with you are terminated effective immediately. You have 1 hour to clear out your belongings and hand over your keys. 20 minutes later, Mitchell stumbled out of the bakery with a small cardboard box in his arms. Outside, a crowd of protesters had already gathered. Signs reading "Dignity for All" and "End Discrimination" bobbed in the air. Some chanted his name, others filmed as he rushed to his car, face lowered. Each camera flash, each shouted word, carved his public downfall deeper into stone. That afternoon, Kesha's phone rang. It was David, his tone lighter than it had been in weeks. Kesha, I've got news. Sterling didn't just fire Mitchell, he's donating $50,000 to anti-discrimination groups in your honor, and he wants to speak with you about developing mandatory training for all his employees. On the same call, Marcus chimed in. And about work. Remember that position we talked about? My friend, the factory owner, wants to offer you a supervisory role, a 40% pay increase. Kesha clutched the phone, her hands trembling. Just days earlier, she had been humiliated and dismissed as invisible. Now she was respected, valued, and heard. And Mitchell? She asked softly, though part of her already knew. David chuckled. Let's just say his name is everywhere, but not in the way he wants. He's already been rejected from 3 job interviews today. Employers see who he is before he even walks in the door. Kesha closed her eyes, exhaling a long, steady breath. For the first time in years, she felt her dignity fully restored. But was her story complete or just beginning? And Mitchell, would he finally reflect on the damage he caused? Or would his arrogance blind him forever? What no one expected was that this moment of justice would ripple outward, touching lives far beyond the walls of Sunrise Bakery, proving once again that one voice, when backed by truth, can shake the foundations of power. 6 months after what the local press called the bread that changed everything, Kesha Williams signed her new contract as a supervisor at Marcus's clothing factory. The salary allowed her not only to support Emma and Sophie with dignity, but also to help other struggling families in her community. Her daughters now attended a private school on full scholarships funded by Robert Sterling's new education initiative. Every afternoon they came home bubbling with stories about art projects, the new library, and the delicious snacks at lunch. Mom, you're in the newspaper again. Sophie giggled one evening, waving an article that named Kesha as the national spokesperson for a campaign against discrimination in retail. That same day, David Chun called with news that closed one chapter for good. The case is settled. $250,000 in damages, plus legal fees. And Mitchell has been placed on the national registry, banning him from customer service roles. Mitchell's downfall was complete. Rejected at every interview, his viral reputation followed him everywhere. With debts mounting and his wife filing for separation, he ended up working a night shift at a warehouse, a far cry from the authority he once flaunted. Meanwhile, Sunrise Bakery had been reborn. Under new, diverse management, it became the city's favorite cafe for community and inclusion events. At the entrance, a sign proudly read, "Birthplace of the Dignity for All Movement." Marcus visited Kesha at her new office to share an unexpected detail. Mitchell stopped by the bakery last week. He stood outside for 15 minutes staring at that sign, then walked away with his head down. Kesha felt no triumph in that image, only a quiet hope. I never wanted to destroy him. I just wanted to protect others. Maybe now he understands. Her true success wasn't measured in money or recognition, but in the hundreds of letters she received each month, from mothers who found the courage to speak out, from young people who refused humiliation, from companies that rewrote their policies after hearing her story. That night, as she tucked her daughters into bed, Emma asked softly, "Mommy, why was that man so mean to us that day?" Kesha brushed her daughter's hair back gently. Some people confuse having power with having the right to mistreat others, but life always teaches us that every choice has consequences. Sterling had since become a leading advocate for inclusive business practices. Marcus continued using his influence to support victims of discrimination, and Jessica, the young employee who had spoken up, thrived in her new career, proud that her courage had helped spark change. If this story of transformation and justice touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Share it with someone who needs the reminder. No humiliation defines who you are. It only exposes who tries to diminish you. Mitchell tried to reduce Kesha with arrogance and cruelty. Instead, he created a leader who changed lives, because true revenge isn't about tearing your enemies down. It's about rising so high that they can't even imagine your success.